"20 years after the U.S. Air Force first began receiving F-22s, the first missile action and retirements will take place in 2023. The F-22 Raptor was first employed on February 4th to shoot down a meteorological balloon over the Atlantic Ocean, fulfilling the purpose for which it was designed as an air superiority fighter. This marked the first time the fifth-generation fighter class was utilized to neutralize an aerial target. This was significant since it came less than a month after the F-22 celebrated 20 years since the U.S. Air Force first acquired it at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, on January 7, 2003. This was more than 5 years after the start of the class's serial manufacturing and almost 13 years after the Raptor's debut flight in 1990. The Soviet Su-27 Flanker, a fourth-generation air superiority fighter that went into service in 1984 and was at the time regarded as unmatched in its capabilities, was the target of the F-22's initial development, which was significantly delayed by budget cuts and a contracting defense industry. The American fighter could not attack targets at extreme off-bore sight angles like the Flanker could, since it had a considerably shorter range than the Su-27 and lacked helmet-mounted sights. Despite this, it had the benefits of stealth and had access to an electronically scanned array radar, which gave it a significant advantage in engagements beyond visual range. While the F-22 was initially delivered in January 2003, it would take over 2 years before it even attained a basic initial operating capability. This was only accomplished in December 2005. In comparison to its fourth-generation predecessor, the F-15, which had entered service less than 3 years after its first flight, this was a full 15 years after its maiden flight in September 1990. Due to its unusually drawn-out development, the F-22 entered service with avionics and computer architecture that were already widely regarded as being out of date. The absence of helmet-mounted sights is one such example. The delays signaled a number of operational problems the fighter would encounter, including the Raptor's extremely limited network-centric warfare capabilities, the lowest availability rates and maintenance requirements in the U.S. military, and even the health of pilots' lungs due to an endemic condition that became known as Raptor cough. Even though even the earliest airframes have only fulfilled a small portion of their service lifespan, the fighters are set to start their retirement from duty in a matter of months, 20 years after the first F-22s were delivered. The Air Force would even resume orders for the F-15 while retiring the F-22, buying more of the Cold War-era fighter design and removing from service the successor aircraft it already had, as the aircraft was considered far from cost-effective to keep operating in 2009, less than 4 years after it entered service. Since the initial units were delivered to the Air Force, the F-22 has had a very problematic 20-year history, which culminated in the fighter's exclusion from the service's future being confirmed in 2021 and its impending retirement being announced in 2022. The F-35, which has a single engine and is lighter than the F-22, as well as the planned NGAD 6th-generation fighter, are now under more pressure to fill the gap left by the Raptor in defending against new generations of Chinese stealth aircraft.